AMC cost to borrow fees are spiking over 350% here today. Now, some interesting things happening in the markets, like a speech from Fed Jerome Powell, causing the markets to be in the red today. Now, the more that we are red heading into the end of the month makes me more and more bullish for the end of the month. And I want to talk about that as well as look at the option activity, the economic calendar, everything that we are currently facing in our markets, guys. So go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. So first and foremost, you got AMC stock down 1.31% here on the day. Now, AMC has been red, right? It's been red for a while. It's been trending down. It's done absolutely nothing. You're sitting at support at $4.50 per share. The stock is at $4.53 per share. So you're slightly higher than support. And I think this support level is likely to hold up as it is such a large psychological level, right? 450, even numbers tend to be very strong supports. Like $4 per share tends to be a strong support. $4.50 tends to be a strong support. $5 was a strong support. And vice versa, they also tend to be resistance levels as well on any upside move. Now that you are sitting at $4.50 per share, this might be the range that AMC trades in for a while. Now, the big catalyst is going to be at the end of this month, in which I've been very vocal of over the past couple of days here, I believe the last week or so. This is a sell the rumor, buy the news event. This is becoming more and more obvious the more selling that we are seeing towards the end of this month and the more bearish positioning that we continue to see in AMC stock. Think about it like this. Everyone can't win. So normally what happens in the markets is a small percentage of people win, a large percentage of people lose, right? That's why if you are one that's early to seeing a market crash and you position for that, you make a lot of money. Everyone else kind of loses money. And vice versa. What we've seen heading into 2023 was not a lot of positioning in tech. Everyone thought your place to be was, coincidentally, the banks, oil, consumer staples. When those have been the stocks that have done very bad in 2023. But everyone loved them heading into the year. What did well was the sector that was not very liked. It was technology, and technology is absolutely soared. So when I think about just the way the markets move, AMC, the more red that it is heading into the end of this month, the more bullish that I have to be on AMC. And that's just because when everyone is negative, it pays to be positive. When everyone is positive, it tends to pay out to be negative, to be slightly more constructive or bearish, whatever word you want to put on it. So as we sit here today, AMC's trading at the lower end range, right? Close to those lows at $3.77 per share. You're at $4.50. You're just a jump, skip, and a hop away from those lows. It looks like a lot of bad news has been priced into AMC. And again, usually when there's a lot of bad news priced in, you can get a bullish reaction. Even if you get bad news, the markets are expecting really bad news. That's what it ultimately comes down to. And I think that is what gives AMC a rally in the month of July after this court date, June 29th and June 30th. It's going to allow the stock to move more freely. Now think about it from this perspective as well. Short sellers, they're still going to have short positions after this court date, right? The short positions don't dissolve when the conversion happens. They will still be short. Now, I think when you think about it like that, and they're still going to be short, the negative catalyst, the arbitrage trade, essentially, will be done at that point. Okay? And AMC is going to raise a lot more capital. So the short thesis is over at that point as well. I've talked about this before many times, that when you have even a negative catalyst that turns into a long-term fundamental catalyst, such as what's happening with AMC right now, that in turn ends up as a bullish catalyst. That's why I've said over and over again, I really don't care what happens with this court date. The way that I see it is if the courts prolong this and don't let this go through, ultimately that ends up being a positive for squeezing shorts out of short positions. They're paying cost to borrow fees, in which we'll look at over 300%. That's unsustainable, right? Or again, if the courts do let this go through, I think that causes a short squeeze because you kill that short thesis. So both ways you look at this here, it seems like a good outcome for AMC, considering AMC is sitting at the lower end levels. I could be wrong. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial planner. Let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. If you have your own theory, let me know that down below in the comment section. So there is that. Now let's talk about a little bit of what's happening here on the day today. So Fed Jerome Powell expects more rate hikes ahead as inflation fight, quote, has a long way to go. Goes on to say that interest rate increases are likely ahead as inflation is, quote, well above where it should be. Inflation pressures continue to run high, and the process of getting inflation back down to 2% has a long way to go. Powell said the labor market is still tight, though there have been signs that conditions are loosening. So basically what we got out of Powell was a lot of the same old. One comment in particular that did cause the markets to kind of sell down a little bit more was a comment about that we shouldn't look at this as a skip or a pause. And that just sent the signal that more rate hikes are coming. To one degree, the markets really don't care. One more rate hike, two more rate hikes. We're at the end of this cycle anyways, as long as inflation doesn't start to go higher again. But the markets at the same time don't exactly believe the Fed that they're going to raise rates again. That's why the markets really, have just went higher ever since last Wednesday, right? Ever since the last FOMC press conference. The markets just don't believe Powell. There's a credibility problem. So the markets really don't know what to think. And that's a question that really stuck out to me during this speech. And he also declined to really comment on where interest rates are going to have to stay long term. We know from the summary of economic projections, we're expecting about 2.5% to be where the Fed keeps interest rates after inflation is obviously around 2%, right? But he failed to comment on if we're going to have to see more, consistent rate hikes and cuts, if it's going to have to be a more fluid Fed policy, meaning that inflation could just ramp up again out of nowhere in the future, or subsequently fall out of nowhere in the future. He declined to comment on that, but I think the markets kind of took that as we're probably going to get more rate hikes just randomly, over the next 5 to 10 years. Might get a rate hike here or there because inflation goes higher just all of a sudden. So some things that definitely caught the market's attention. Now, speaking of AMC, there's really no news. You've kind of been in a blackout period. You really haven't got much. This article, though, says AMC Entertainment Holdings will AMC stock rebound from here. And they go on to point out that AMC is now at its support level at $4.50 per share. And that typically, if you can start to get buyers coming in at support levels, it tends to be a good trade to buy AMC at support levels. And we've seen that in the past before. I don't think that is rocket science to many of us. Usually it's a good idea to buy AMC at support levels, right? Especially if you can align with a bullish thesis of AMC. If you bought AMC at the lows, every time it's hit the lows and you just bought and waited a month or two, or maybe a couple days or a week or whatever the time frame is, you've done well, right? AMC has always bounced off the lows. It's still not sitting at the lows. So if you bought AMC at $3.77, I mean, you still made money even looking at that today, right? So that's kind of the argument that article does make, and I think that makes a lot of sense, especially considering AMC is the most squeezable that you have seen ever. The short score is sitting at 94. You have 564 million worth of short positions currently on the stock. Estimated short interest or free float at 23.8%. Free float out on loan at 38.23%. 197.38 million shares that are currently out on loan. Days to cover sitting at 8.82. Cost to borrow trailing 3 months at 121%. Also 100% share utilization. If you take a look at the cost to borrow fees, cost to borrow max sitting at 336%, which is a huge spike from yesterday's number at 269%. So you're up, 65% for the cost to borrow max just from yesterday. Cost to borrow minimum as well, spiking by quite a bit, currently sitting at about 200%, yesterday at 135%. So that is up another 65% here today. And pretty much the same story with the cost to borrow average as well. Cost to borrow average yesterday, 225%. Today, you're sitting at 270%. So a 45% increase right here for the cost to borrow average. So basically across the board, it looks like cost to borrow fees are ramping higher. Usually that's a sign of volatility to come, considering the stock has been falling. Leads me to believe maybe we do get an upside move. Now, the live short interest or free float currently sitting at 24% with 123.24 million shares that are currently sold short. Taking a look at the option activity here today, extremely negative. You have seen 24 orders totaling $8.26 million with a positive order value of 4%. A lot of those large trades coming in, those $1 million plus put trades, does put a lot of negative pressure on the stock. And that's another point, again, that I want to highlight for like the 10th time in this video. Everyone is so negative. I mean, you've only seen a couple calls coming through. You could count them on one hand recently that have been bullish. Everything else is bearish. Usually when people are this bearish on a stock, if the stock's not going bankrupt in the near term, I mean, it usually pays to be bullish on that stock, right? And that's not just for AMC, that's for any other name. So that's kind of my take on this situation. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comments section. If you guys want to come trade with us live in real time every time I make a trade, I post that as well as other people post their trades. Link down below in the description of this video for that one. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.